Morning everyone, welcome back to Lineup Predictions here on the Magpie Channel TV. West Ham United, the opponent on Sunday at home at St James's Park. They're currently sitting 16th in the Premier League, 3 points out of the relegation zone, just ahead of Aston Villa and Bournemouth, who we've played both recently. Bournemouth were absolutely stuffed, and Aston Villa, tricky game that we've got to draw out of. They're 12 points behind us though. We're sitting pretty in 13th place. Plenty of opportunity to climb for us. We are on 42 points now, only 5 points above 7th. Yeah, this is a big game for both of us. They're dying to pick up some points to survive relegation. They picked up a huge 3 points the other day against Chelsea. Massive 3 points, great win for them. If they can beat Chelsea, they can beat anyone really. I'm expecting a very tough game here. Probably the toughest we've had since the restart. The other teams have played, Bournemouth laid down. Basically, so did Sheffield. On paper, Sheffield probably should have been the toughest game, with them sitting, they were 6th at the time, they're now 7th. And Villa's a similar kind of team, I think, between them and West Ham. You don't know which team's going to pick up. Sometimes they can be shite. Sometimes they can be really good. Like, I've always quite rated West Ham, to be fair. I think they've always had some really good players. They just always end up finding themselves down the bottom end of the table. And I don't quite understand why. Like, they spend a lot of money. They've got decent owners. They pump money in. They've dabbled with managers. I think that sometimes have been all right. I thought Slaven Bilic was okay, but with David Moyes, they need to move on from him next season for me. Like, he's in the same categories like, Allardyce's and Mark Hughes, Pardew's, people like that, Neil Warnock, people that'll come in and just try and help you to not get relegated. I think if he achieves that this season, great, well done to him, well done to West Ham, but I think they need to move on. I think Eddie Howe, for me, would be a great appointment. I think he's taken Bournemouth as far as he can now. You've seen how far they've slumped recently. I think it'll take them a miracle to avoid relegation, because they've got some really tough games coming up. I think the ones at the bottom now who we've played recently, Villa and Bournemouth, I think they're the ones that are likely to go down. I know it's very tight. There's only 3 points between them, West Ham, Watford, Villa and Bournemouth. Very tight, but I just don't think they've really got enough in them. So I think West Ham should be safe. They need to continue to pick up a few points. Hopefully they don't get them against us. But as I say, we're only a few points off the top 10 now. 7th place is within touching distance. We just need to continue our form. I think we've been great recently. The Sheffield game and the West Ham Bournemouth game the other day, amazing. Villa, it was an okay game. I mean, we could have done better. I think we were the better team to concede that late goal. It was a bit disappointing, but not completely disheartened by it in the Man City game. That's in the past. We're out the FA Cup now. Let's not worry about that. Let's concentrate on the league. In terms of players, I don't really know if they've got any out. I've tried to have a look around, but I haven't really seen who's unavailable for them. On our front, there's a few worries with Jamal Lascelles and Joe Linton. Joe Linton's got a calf injury that he picked up the other day against Bournemouth that we're seeing. He was holding onto it. He got up and continued, so it didn't look too bad, but he looked a bit in pain when he was down on the ground holding it. Jamal Lascelles has picked up an ankle injury as well. It's said to just be a gash. It's quite a deep cut that he's getting, really. So we'll see how Jamal Lascelles comes on. And Sean Longstaff, his injury doesn't seem as bad as it first seemed against Bournemouth. He went off it on about 35 minutes with a hamstring injury. Usually a hamstring injury you can see on the sideline for a good few weeks, with only about three and a half weeks left of the season. Like, you'd think like a hamstring injury would see you out for the rest of the season, but there's only a doubt over Sean Longstaff at the minute. We've got to see how he comes on over the next few days. He's not going to make the West Ham game, but future games we could see him again by the end of the season, which is good news. Lejeune and Clark are still out, unfortunately. I think we need some extra depth at centre-back, particularly if Lascelles is going to be injured, which I'll get onto in a bit. And Dummett, obviously, still ineligible. So I'm going to dive into my lineup then, show you what I'm thinking. Dubravka, obviously, in goal, number one goalkeeper. Keep him in there. At right back, I would keep with Emil Kraft. I think he had a great game the other day. Like, I've been defending Kraft for a while. If you've seen Bournemouth review videos, Yeah, Kraft started most of his game time at Newcastle as a wing back, which he is not. There's other players that's benefited since going to a 4 at the back. The 5 at the back formation just didn't work. It didn't work for anyone. Manquillo and Rose, I think, suffered, but since reverting to 4 at the back, we've been a much solid unit. Manquillo and Rose have been great since then. The partnership between Fernandes and Lascelles has really came along in strides. So yeah, Kraft isn't a wing back. Like the other night was the first time we've actually seen him used in his correct role as a right back, and he had a really good game. He plays there at international level for Sweden, and yeah, I was very, very happy with him. And also Manquillo is in need of a rest. Manquillo's needed a rest, I think, for I don't know the last couple of games really, but he's been forced to play. Daniel Rose needed a well-deserved rest, and he got that the other day. Manquillo covered for him at left back. Rose was an unused substitute, so hopefully he's got his rest now. So I'm going to start him at left back. I'm going to jump straight across onto the left and give Manquillo his well-deserved rest. Well done for him for filling in at left back the other day. People often question Manquillo at left back. He's played there a few times for us, and people are always like, "Oh, why is he over there?" But I'm sure he's played there before when he was at Liverpool and at Sunderland. I'm sure I've seen him many a time at left back. So he's more than capable of playing there. I know he's right-footed, but it's not a position he's uncomfortable with. It's not something he hasn't done before. So Manquillo's a very, very capable left-back. And I think for the rest of the season, while we need to rotate, we've got a lot more option at right-back. So I think for the final few games, is it 5 games, I think, after West Ham? I think Manquillo and Rose need to rotate with 2-3 games in a week. People still need that rest, as Brucey said last week. So yeah, Manquillo and Rose to rotate at left back, and at right back we've got Kraft and Yedlin to rotate. I'd quite like to see Yedlin. Yeah, he's been frozen out a little bit, but I think he's one that might actually suffer from going 4 at the back, because he's one that was actually good as a wing back. He's not a full back. Defensively, it's them frailties that people question about Yedlin. Defensively, he's not great. He's much better at getting forward. He's got that speed to link up with the attack and strive forward. So I think that's why Kraft's got the nod. I know when the lineup came out against Bournemouth, Kraft was one of the first names people were looking at, thinking, "Why the fuck's he playing his shit? I don't like Kraft. Play Yedlin." But I think Yedlin's a better right back. Kraft is a better right back. Yedlin's far better as a wing back for me. So I'm going to stick with Kraft and put Rose on the left. And centre back, this is a peculiar one. I'm going to start Fabian Schär. Obviously had a nightmare against Man City, but we really need to start rotating there as well, particularly with Lascelles potentially being injured. Federico Fernandes is one that's needed a rest, as well as Manquillo for the last couple of games. Towards the end of the last 3 games, I think he's looked knackered. Last 10-15 minutes, he really looked like he needed a break, which I think is something that Brucey probably was planning on doing. But with the unfortunate injury to Sean Longstaff, he was forced into an early change that he probably didn't want to make. So, yeah, Schär to come in for me. Give Fernandes a rest. And Lascelles, I'm going to start Lascelles. He's the captain. He's not going to let him sit out. I don't know how bad it is, but he's only a doubt now. Brucey says we've got 48 hours until the game. 2 days. And Lascelles is tough, man. He's the captain for a reason. He's a great leader. He'll want to be out there. He's not going to let a knocked ankle prevent him from playing. And especially since Fernandes is in such need of a rest as well. Like, it's a toss of a coin, really. Do you play someone with a cut on their ankle or someone in need of a break? Like, that's what we're working with at the minute, particularly with Lejeune, Clark and Dummett all out. Dummett ineligible, of course. Lascelles is a leader. He's just gonna have to take one on the chin, really, take one for the team until probably Clark comes back. I don't think Clark's too far away from coming back. Lejeune's unlikely to see any more game time this season with his injury. He may come back for the last couple of games, but I think Clark coming back is who Lascelles is really relying on if he's going to get a break anytime soon. So we're going to have to rotate really between Fernandes and Schär. Maybe if Fernandes gets a break, the next game is against Man City actually, but the one afterwards, I think it's Watford, is it? Against Watford, maybe we could say Schär and Fernandes try a partnership and give Lascelles that well-deserved break. But I think for this game, Lascelles is going to need to just take it on the chin, carry on. Him and Shaw try and recreate the form that him and Fernandez have struck up over the last few months, dating back to, I think, first time we moved to 4 at the back, it was the 0-0 draw against Burnley, where we were great. Fernandez and Lascelles have formed a wicked partnership since then. So, hopefully Shaw can come in and finally get some game time, try and right his wrongs for that Man City nightmare, because it was abysmal. In midfield, similar to Kraft, another one who's been a little bit of a question mark among fans is Nabil Bentaleb. So I'm going to start him. He was another one that everybody didn't really want to see in the team, but had a great game. Probably his best performance to date in a Toon shirt. I think alongside the West Brom game away in the Cup, I thought he was decent in that game. But yeah, in terms of the league, that was definitely Bentaleb's best performance. And similar to centre-back, in centre-mid, we've got a lot of fitness issues. Injuries, not so much, but fitness. Shelvey and Hayden both need a rest. Sean's obviously injured for this game. And there's question marks about Matty's future. So I think Bentaleb's the fittest, the most available, the one that's most ready to go in and potentially play 90 minutes. So I think we've got to start Bentaleb really by default and partner him alongside the next fittest player, whoever that is. For me, I think that might be John Joe Shelvey. I think alongside each other, they were great together on Wednesday night, wasn't it? Wednesday against Bournemouth. Shelvey played a blinder, and I think West Ham's the kind of team where he performs. Last time we played West Ham, we beat them 3-2 at their place. We went 3-0 up. John Joe scoring a great long-range free kick in the second half. I feel like this is the kind of game where Shelvey will thrive. I think West Ham's that kind of team where he'll show up and he'll do really, really well. If he's got Bentaleb alongside him, I think they'll form a decent partnership. And yeah, Hayden's another one. So what I said about Fernandez has really, really needed a rest. Yeah, he got one the other night. He obviously Bentaleb played instead of him. He came on late as a substitute, and we'll not get into that miss. We'll give him a break, right? He's not a striker. He's not Gale. Just forget about that one for now. So Bentaleb and Shelvey in the middle for me. Try and keep their form going, similar to what I said about Kraft. And further up top, on the right-hand side, I want to see Valentino Lazaro. He came on against Bournemouth, the first time we've actually seen him in an attacking formation, which is where we've been dying to see him. Again, similar to Bentaleb, his best game in a Toon shirt came against West Brom away in the Cup, because he played as a midfielder, as a winger. I think the only other times we've seen him this season has either been as a wing back or a full back. I think he had a nightmare game against Crystal Palace. That was his second game. Played as a right wing back and got himself sent off. Got caught out. Silly mistake, but he's not a defender. And we've seen how good he is going forward for the first time, really, against Bournemouth. Like that finish, that was striker's shit. That was like exquisite. The way he held his line, perfect timing on his run and executed it. Showing his weak foot as well, left foot straight in the top bins. Brilliant goal. And moments later, rocketed a shot 25 yards off the bar, which led to Hayden's miss. So saint-maximin is in need of a rest. So yeah, I'm going to bench saint-maximin. Obviously, best player by country mile. I'll try not to talk about them as much if I'm not going to start them. He was one that was expected to get a rest against Bournemouth. Brucey said the day before that he was tired in training the day before and was looking to rest him. And I think he said after the game it was only either the night before or just before the game that Maxi said, I'm ready, I want to play. Players, I'm fit, I'm ready. So that I'm pleased he did, because I said in my lineup prediction, we need to take Bournemouth seriously. That's a massive game. Like, we need to get over the 40-point mark. We need to play the best team that we can. And if Maxi's fit, do not bench him, because he can be the game changer. And by God, was all right. 3 assists, 4 goals on the night. Absolutely smashed them. The most dominating performance all season. So yeah, that was a great choice starting Maxi. But now we're above the 40-point mark. I think he deserves a rest now. He's done his job. And if we need him late on, how good of a substitution can that be? What an impact. Like, our best player, the one with the most pace and flair and energy, coming off the bench if we are struggling towards the game with 20 minutes left. If we're a level or a goal down, get Maxi on, change that game, push forward and make sure we get them 3 points. But if not, if we're coasting like what we did in the Bournemouth and the Sheffield game, I'd honestly just leave him out. I wouldn't even bother wasting energy. We've got Man City coming up on is it Wednesday night? So I'd just save Maxi's legs if possible. If we don't need to play him, save him, save his energy, give Lazaro 90 minutes if he can last it, and see how it goes from there. In the number 10 role, I'll start Almiron again. He's the one that needed a rest and only got a little one against Bournemouth. Obviously started from the bench. Sean Longstaff got the start in his role and did really, really well. But it was about 35 minutes into the game. Longstaff went down, had to be rotated, and I think Almiron changed the game from there as well. I think the pace and energy he showed, it took it into a different level. Like Sean Longstaff had a good game, I'm not knocking him, but when Almiron came on, he was like, you could see how quick we started to move as a team. Like he was chasing everything down. He's so quick. He's like a little pit bull terrier chasing after everything, going forward, making a run into space. His pace and his energy was really, really felt. So if there's someone else to come on and replace him after an hour, 70 minutes, I'd quite like to see him not play the 90 minutes. But in terms of a number 10, I don't think there's anyone else that can really replace him. I think Matty and Sean are the only two options. But if they're unavailable, then I think Almiron's going to have to start, really. And then we'll work something out in the second half if he needs to come off. On the left, for me, I would keep Joelinton on. He's picking up a calf injury, but as Brucey says, we've got 48 hours. We've got a couple of days to try and shake that off. Like, it didn't really seem that bad. He's only a minor doubt, really. So, yeah, I was happy with his performance the other night. Like, obviously on the left side, that's where he's meant to be. His best position. We've finally got to see him. Well, we've seen him a bit there, but I think game by game, he's finally getting into it. His performances are definitely increasing on that left-hand side. As we've said many, many times, he's not a striker. If it wasn't for the fitness of Gale, Muto, Carroll, like, would we actually really see Joelinton as a number 9 for as often as we have this season? I don't think we would. Now that we've finally changed to a formation that actually suits him, and we've actually got some strikers that are fit, now we're actually seeing the best of Joelinton, but he's playing in his right position. And I thought the other day he was brilliant. He was changing over onto the right-hand side as well, playing down the middle. He was everywhere. So if we can keep some more of that, like, I just want to see some momentum. I think if we're playing well, I don't think we need to change things up if we don't need to. Like, obviously, I know he's carrying a little bit of an injury, but if he can shake that off, I'd be more than happy to see him start and try and keep the momentum that he's got going in the team. Up top, we'll stick with Dwight Gale. He's got 2 goals in 2 Premier League games now. He needs to get involved in the game a bit more for me. I think the only time we'll actually see him is when he has chances. He either scores or he fucking sails one wide. Like, they're the only times that you really, really see Gale in a game. But I think against West Ham, obviously, his 2 goals came against relegation side teams, borderline championship teams. They're the teams where he's going to get goals. He's going to get time, and he's got more than enough ability to score goals against them teams. Like, championship, he can score 20 goals a season for fun. Like, the defence is split open a lot more often, as we've seen in the Bournemouth game especially. West Ham's there or thereabouts. I think they're a better team than Bournemouth. I think they're a better team than Villa, but still they've got frailties at the back. I think if Gale gets like half a yard of space, he needs assistance as well. He needs to be set up. But like, if we can provide that, Joelinton, Almiron, Lazaro, I think Gale can definitely nick a goal. Like, at the back, I know they've got Diop. Earlier in the season, I think it was again a game against Tottenham. It might have been Mourinho's first game. I'm sure during January, Diop was linked with a big move. I think it was Man United, and I think a couple of the big teams were linked with Diop. And then in that game, he was shocking. He was really, really bad, Diop. So if Gale can get a yard or 2 on him, I think we can. Obviously, I say he needs the assistance. We need people to put some decent balls in the box. With saint-maximin not being there, might be a little trickier, but I trust in Lazaro and obviously Almiron and Joelinton. I think that's probably our best front 3, with saint-maximin out possibly. Richie could come in on the left for Joelinton, I think, maybe, but nah, I'd prefer to see Joelinton there. I'd like to see Carroll get some decent game time. If Carroll started, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I don't really want to see Gale there. But I think for me, Carroll's not going to play 90 minutes. He's going to get changed regardless at some point anyway. So I think just start Gale for probably the first hour, see how he gets on. I think he can score a first half goal and then bring Carroll on against the side that let him go. At St James's, it would be fairy tale shit if Carroll could get his name on the score sheet. Like, even if it's a late goal, if we are behind, if it's 1-1, dying minutes, Carroll backstick, bosh, against his old team at St James's. Fairy tale shit. Like, I really want Carroll to score by the end of the season. I really want him to get his first goal back. So, whether he starts or not, I'd like to see him get some decent enough time, like half an hour. But I think starting Gale, bringing Carroll on later would work with much more effect. So, Gale to start for me. And that's my starting 11. We'll go onto the bench and I'll put in Carl Darlow, of course, to cover for Dubravka. Manquillo on the bench alongside Yedlin. Fernandez is our only other centre-back option. Isaac Hayden, obviously. Matt Ritchie and saint-Maximin as the wing options. Andy Carroll. And there's one more position that I would probably give to Muto. I mentioned how much I don't really rate Muto in my lineup prediction last week, and he didn't make the squad against Bournemouth. I don't know where Muto was. He was just frozen out. As I mentioned in my video last week, he keeps getting frozen out even when fit. Where is he? Don't know. Not good enough. But the only other options are possibly Christian Atsu, who was another one who I think's time has come for Newcastle. I think he's been fit since the restart. He just hasn't gotten in any matchday squads. So I don't think Atsu's got a future at the club if he doesn't at least make the bench by the end of the season. I think that's him gone. There's no future there for Atsu, and I don't think there's one for Muto either. The only other one I would like to see come in is Matty Longstaff. But I did mention again, and I think it was me Bournemouth lineup, that I don't really want to see him while the contract talks are up in the air. While he's got stuff on his mind, psychologically, it's not good for him. If he's already kind of got half of his mind in Italy, I don't really want to see him. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair on the team. Like, we want players that are committed more long term, but like have got 100% focus on this game, striving to get Newcastle 3 points, and like really want to play for the club. I doubt Matty doesn't want to play for the club, but like if he thinks he's not going to be here for next season, like I don't want that psychologically tampering with the team. So I'd keep Matty Longstaff out for as long as the contract talks are up in the air. Brucey did say this morning that he's got a meeting with Matty Longstaff today. It's a bit of a later lineup prediction, this one, so maybe that meeting's already been held. Hopefully we've got some good news on that front coming in the next few days. We'll just see how the meeting went. If the meetings went well and he does sign on the dotted line in the coming days, then get him back in the squad. I think we could really do with him, particularly with the lack of centre mid options at the minute, with fitness, like obviously with Sean being injured. Shelvey and Hayden aren't much of an issue. It's just fitness, really. Like, can the last 90 minutes, like, are they likely going to start every game? I'm not sure, but having an extra body there to help cover, it's more than welcome. So I'd start Muto. Atsu can go wherever he wants, and Matty Longstaff just needs to sign his contract. So yeah, that's my team then. Let me know what you guys think. Any other changes would you make? Who else needs a rest? Any more rotation? Like this video, subscribe to the Magpie Channel TV, and enjoy yourself.